Thank you, Presiding Officer, to this annual meeting of Bookaholics Not Very Anonymous. And I'm very privileged to be part of that group. Now, libraries, of course, are a source of information. That's very valuable. But they're also something that protects our heritage on a long-term basis. It's no accident that totalitarian regimes and extremists generally, one of the first things they go for is books, and for libraries. And ISIS have destroyed 100,000 books in Mosul in the recent weeks. And in April 2003, the National Library and Archive of Iraq was all but lost hundreds of thousands of books. And during World War II, one of the first targets of the Japanese when they went to China was to destroy books. Over 1 million books and documents were destroyed. And, of course, the Nazis in the 1930s notoriously burnt books with which they disagree. So books are radical. Books are extreme. Books are highly varied. And we should value them in all their variety, because they tell us about where we come from, they inform about where we're going to go. Now, I personally, like many other members, I'm sure, use libraries considerably. When I have my surgeries in Buckie and my surgeries in Fraserburgh, it's the local library that plays host to us. And while I'm waiting, I can pop next door and see what's going on. I can read the newspapers that the libraries get. And, of course, I can dip into books. But surprisingly, no one so far has mentioned the National Library of Scotland, which is absolutely... Oh, I beg your pardon. It has been signalled that I was not listening correctly. I have my reading card here with me. Disappointingly, I note that it's due for renewal on General Election Day. I have a suspicion I may not manage to get along that day to renew it. But when you go into places like the National Library of Scotland, you have almost unique opportunities to find information you'll get nowhere else. I'm very interested in genealogy, both my own and other people's. I know that my great-grandfather earned £70 a year in 1862 because he was a missionary for the Scottish Coast Mission, and there seemed to be only 4 pieces of paper left about that institution, and one of them is in the National Library of Scotland, the annual report. It shows how much he was earning. So that was very good. Archives and libraries go hand in hand. My great-great-great-grandfather, I've got a tiny bit of paper showing he served in the Navy. I was able to go to the Public Record Office at Kew and get the ship's logs from 1780 when he was serving on HMS Medway. Now, let's have a wee think about the electronic world. The National Library for Scotland is doing a great deal to address the issue of the transient nature of so much of our electronic information. And I invite Liam MacArthur to think very carefully about whether the modern electronic world is a better one than the paper world to which we have been used to. I sit in a bath whenever I can with a cup of tea and a book in my hand. I can assure you that my wife sweats less when I drop a book in the bath, because a hairdryer is all that's needed to remedy it, but dropping an e-book in the bath is another matter altogether. Not because of the electrical implications, the e-book tends to suffer a bit. I congratulate Colin Beattie on giving us this opportunity to think about literature and libraries. I hope that we'll hear some interesting things from the Minister about the future security of our library services.